Hi, everybody. Welcome to the MSc Bioscience Futures, Communication, Innovation and Entrepreneurship. This is the open evening, and welcome everybody that has come along to hear more about what we are doing for this MSc. So next slide, please. Hi. Great. Okay. So what we're going to cover is who the course leaders are, why we have created this course, who the course is for, how it was originally designed, what you're going to learn, how it's being taught, and the career paths of graduates and how to apply, because these are things that we know you're interested in. So first of all, if we go to next slide, so I'm one of the course leaders. So I am professor in the Faculty of Medicine in the National Heart and Lung Institute, and I'm working very closely with Dr. Anne Burke-Gaffney, who is also on the call here today. We both are originally active sort of researchers in the biomedical sciences areas, but we have a lot of experience in teaching, and particularly in the last 10 years, we've been teaching master's students. So yeah, we're both passionate about education and also about doing things in more innovative ways. So the next slide, please. So here are some of the people that you're going to hear from if you join the course. So we have a combination of some academics and then some external people from, for example, from the innovation department at Imperial and outside of Imperial, sort of talking about, for example, the patenting process and commercialization process. We also have people from our the Centre for Languages and Learning that include people with expertise, for example, in writing skills and different types of writing skills and ethics and biofutures. Right, moving on. So why we originally created the course. Next slide. So really what we want to do was empower students that had this sort of background in biosciences and biomedical science to really become the next generation of bioscience innovators, leaders, and change makers. So the people that we're looking for on the course, the type of students that we're looking for, you obviously need background in biosciences, although that be said, we do have a couple of students that have come from more sort of business background. But generally these people, you will have had you'll be doing your degree in the biosciences, or you may be a mature student, and you will be thinking about that you've got a desire to communicate and innovate in the biosciences. So some people might have come from a different background and not have a BSc, but have some years experience, for example, in the biotech industry. So you have sort of equivalent experience. So I think the essential thing is that for people coming on this course, there's no lab work. This is not a research type of science course. This is just specifically for people that are trying to sort of move out of the research field and become more sort of innovative and entrepreneurial. So we're looking for people that are creative and independent thinkers, happy to work in a team and independently. So as you're going to hear from some of the students at the end, a lot of the work that we're doing is group work and thinking about how people work in teams and how to work efficiently in a team to get best results. Okay, thank you. Next slide. Yes. So how is it being designed? So all the students here, you can see these are students on our current course. So what you have a series of modules. In the first term, we have innovations in bioscience, ideation and entrepreneurship. And then we have communication for impact. And then in the second term, we are thinking more about how we develop sustainable and ethical businesses. We do a long module, which is really about entrepreneurship. So this is where students have almost like an accelerator program, and they are really then focusing on working on their own ideas and solutions that they want to sort of develop in more depth. We also have Bioscience Futures and Foresight, where we're obviously looking at what's coming next in the biosciences. And finally, there's a work placement project in the sort of spring to summer term. So, yes. So in the first term, we're sort of exploring these different themes. We have an expert, Vera Magdalena Musaba, and she is really an expert in commercialization and patenting, so intellectual property, and she will guide you through the first module, which is really thinking about how you transfer technology and how you commercialize it in the context of the university setting. And we're thinking about all the different stakeholders involved in that process. And so this is a group project that you will be working on during that time, using sort of real startup case studies as a way of developing that idea. Then we have the communication for impact module, and here we're looking at how we sort of connect this bioscience research with diverse audiences. So we're really thinking about how we express our science in two different audiences in different ways, and how we sort of create that sort of two-way engagement with audiences. So we're thinking about creative storytelling using storyboarding technologies. We are visiting the Big Data Centre at Imperial to look at how big data can be visualised. We think about how to create graphical abstracts. We have the policy forum at Imperial, and the policy people involved with policymakers will talk specifically about how you engage with policymakers and the types of policy documents, because that is a sort of potential career option. Then we have a couple of lectures thinking about ways of creating, working with creatives and artists to promote and explain complex bioscience projects. And finally, we have a little bit around science and the media and how science is portrayed in the media. Ben Mumby-Croft is the Director of Entrepreneurship at Imperial, and he's one of the sort of key drivers in this master's. Huge expertise in entrepreneurship, and Imperial has been very successful in terms of entrepreneurship, in terms of supporting thousands of students through programs. And so this master's takes all that sort of knowledge and expertise and really focus it in this first module. We are looking at how to generate ideas and test solutions. And so it's thinking about, again, building an effective team, identifying and how you score problems, how you test assumptions, choosing how you generate and choose the solutions, and thinking a little bit about how you de-risk your idea. Then in term 2, As I said, you're doing more of a deep dive on some of these areas. So we will start thinking about sort of ethical and sustainable business practices. So there will be introduction to sort of the ethics of business, and we will think about sustainability of businesses. We will also, in this module, we will be thinking about giving and receiving feedback respectively, because that's something that is obviously really important for business and for growth, especially if you're working in a small team of entrepreneurs. Okay, next slide. So the main module in this term is really looking at entrepreneurship, and this is where students will, at this point, they've been working together in all different teams that we sort of basically put them into, so they have a real opportunity to get to know all the members of the cohort. And then in this term, they get an opportunity to choose who they're going to work with, and they are going to work on a specific problem that they are going to choose and a solution, and really think about the market opportunities. And there will be a lot on developing the business model in this term, and having a look and critiquing other business models. So it's, I would say this course, compared with the business school, this course is a very sort of practical, doing hands-on course, rather than the theory of entrepreneurship, etc. Okay, next slide. And finally, the last module at the end is thinking about the Bioscience Futures, and thinking about how Bioscience foresight, so what's up ahead. We have we've started off in policy in the first term, thinking very much from a UK perspective, and in this module we will just start to have a look more at international policy. We'll obviously think about things that are driving innovation at the moment in the biosciences, so big data and artificial intelligence. And in this module, students will develop a little a mini symposium for themselves, and deliver and report on that symposium. So, for example, one of the things you will learn to do in this module is to write a symposium report, but also to write a press release. So I think the essence of the whole Masters is that it's very much skill-based in lots of ways. So it's sort of applying a lot of your knowledge and hopefully doing more research in areas of the bioscience, and applying it to these different skills. Okay, so how's it taught? There's online content. So we have a digital platform that's called Incendi. You may, if you're an Imperial student, you might be familiar with that. It's slightly different to Blackboard, but it's very intuitive, easy to use, and you can go through online content, and we encourage you to go through the online content before coming to the lectures, so that will give background information before you come to the lectures, and then it will also direct you to some of the learning that we are asking you to do between different sessions. So the way that we have our teaching is primarily now all at South Kensington campus, a little bit odd sessions at Royal Brompton and White City campus, but most of it turns out at the South Ken campus. And the teaching days are Monday, Tuesday and Thursday. We have made a choice to put all the teaching on 3 days. This, and you might ask the students this is, this makes it 3 sort of, days from 10 till 5, but that means that we can get all the teaching into 3 days, giving you more flexibility for your time on, you've got the other 4 days of the week when you are expected to be doing some research and learning, but you're not, you obviously don't have to be, you can choose how to use your time. There's activities, lots of the workshops are very interactive. We encourage lots of student participation. Okay, next slide, please. Yes, so we've got a range of assessments. We don't do exams, and we'll ask the students to comment on assessments at the end of this. We've got some of our current students here with us today, but we're asking them, as I say, for the innovation module that was in the first term. They've been doing some of the first term, obviously, modules. They've been developing a strategy to commercialize, to continue commercialization of a startup idea from different perspectives of stakeholders, and they have had to work in a group to do that. They've had to present it, and they've also had to write a report. In terms of the communication for impact, they have, for example, had to work in a group to create something, an engaging activity for a non-scientific audience in a bioscience topic. And we've asked them to be quite creative in how they do that. Yes, and I mentioned that there was a mini symposium that you would be developing. And obviously, in terms of entrepreneurship, there's going to be a lot of pitching. I would say one of the things that you will definitely have the opportunity to do a lot in this course is to present and get used to presenting. And if that's something that you're, that's something that you don't feel confident is, we do sessions right at the beginning, which are helping to build people's confidence in presentation skills right at the beginning. So essentially, some of the assessments, I think, are quite maybe seem more challenging for students. They're quite different, but they are designed around key employability skills, and that's how we've come up with them. So they put you in a good place for your sort of next steps into careers, and those next steps might include things like going into technology transfer office, thinking about joining a startup or a spin-out company present at Imperial or another university. Hopefully some of these students will be interested in developing their own ventures as well. Sorry, I've gone on to, I'm talking about careers and I'm reading the wrong site. Sorry, really apologize for that. So work placements, work placements. We, as I say, we're encouraging students to identify their own work placements. We obviously are hoping, to offer some work placements that will be, they are in the Technology Transfer Office at Imperial, and then with startups that are also based at Imperial, and hopefully a few other external businesses. Okay, we've done that. I think yes. And these are so in the placements, yes, you can do placements that cover any of the areas that we've already looked at in the terms of the whole master's programme. So that would be communications, the outreach, policy, but also obviously the commercialization aspects, etc. And this the placement is assessed with a journal log, and this is a reflected journal log of your experience of the process, and then you write a report of the actual projects that you were working on, and the sector, and depending on what sector you're in and how that relates. So then there's you then sum up that at the end with a 10-minute presentation. Right. Sorry, I got lost there. I think this is one of the amazing things coming to Imperial, is not only the actual the course, but also that you are in a very innovative and entrepreneurial ecosystem. There's a wide range of things that you can access, so specialist facilities, in addition to extracurricular training, and Imperial has many clubs and societies for students. Next slide. Yeah, so this just gives you an idea of the innovation, what we call the innovation ecosystem at Imperial. The main areas are the White City Incubator and the hub around that, including things like Scale Space and the MedTech area. And then we have the Imperial Enterprise Lab, which is what we are directly associated with in this master's program, and the Advanced Hackspace. So just to say a little bit more about the Advanced Hackspace. So we introduce students to the Advanced Hackspace right at the beginning of the course, and if they want to go into the Hackspace or do any work in the Hackspace related to any of their projects, that is an option for them to take up. We also have experts in residence, and this is something that the Enterprise Lab can connect you with experts to have 30-minute advice sessions. So career paths for graduates, sorry, this is what I was talking about before, because it is very similar to what we're talking about in terms of the placements. So we envisage that these students, with that sort of entrepreneurial mindset, could go on to start their own companies, and obviously work in places like a startup or biotech company. They could be more interested in science communication or science policy, working with outreach or community engagement departments in universities or beyond. So the application process starts on the 27th of September. So we're in applications now, and we will be starting the interview process next term. And this is the fees, and we will be closing applications on the 2nd of June. So I just want to, interview process. I want to introduce, get some other people on screen, the people that are working with me. So the interview process, so if you get invited to an interview, beforehand, you will be sent a scientific paper. So we will choose that paper, and we will ask you to create a 3-minute presentation on it, summarizing the main findings and proposing potential applications of the technology that's in the paper. And this is either you giving a 3-minute presentation, or if you wish to, you could create a graphical abstract about the paper and summarising that information. So the interviews are all carried out online, and they're 10 minutes with some extra time for you to ask specific questions. Okay, I think we are going to go now to have some, well, it would be nice if Anne can show herself on the screen, and Anne can add anything else to that you would like.
Hello, and lovely to have you all tonight. I just want to say this has been a fantastic journey coming up with this course. I'm working with Sarah to develop it, deliver it. Really glad to be delivering it now for the first year. Fantastic, wonderful group of students. Couldn't ask for better. And I'm sure that will continue. So very much look forward to seeing you in the coming years if you join us. I think that's all I can really add to everything you've said, Sarah. So maybe Raj would like to say a few words, and then let's introduce our fantastic students.
Yeah, I have to second that. We couldn't be happier with the students that we have this year. Brilliant.
Yeah. Hello everyone. So I'm Raj Man, and I'm the teaching fellow supporting the delivery of this very important program. So MSc Bioscience Futures. So I act like as an interface between the students and the teaching team so that they could focus on more important aspects of delivering this unit, delivering the program.
Yeah, and Raj will be getting involved in the teaching going forward. Great. So now can we introduce our students? Most important thing, and probably who. So I think we'll start off with. Should we start off with Artemisi? Missy, are you there?
Hi, Sarah. Hi.
Right. So I think that we are obviously students out there. Please put your questions for either the students or myself and Anne. But I just thought we'd kick off just by getting a little sense from the students of what their experience has been so far. So Artemisi, just tell us about the sort of course and how you found the course, just a sort of overall. And I think then Justin's going to talk more specifically about the innovation module.
Of course. So I must say that it's a very unique course, and it has exceeded my expectations in some way. What I've personally enjoyed more about the course is that it focuses more on the real life applications of your knowledge rather than research and lab work, which is the usual uni idea. And also the assessments go beyond the usual research and the essays as well. It's more real life applications and scenarios that challenge you to think creatively. And I was interested when you, like the professor said, that there is no right or wrong answer to the assessments. You can be as creative as you want, and that makes this experience even more exciting and interesting to me. And I love that we're a small cohort, and it's a very friendly and collaborative and supportive environment. Yeah, I'm enjoying it very much.
Thank you. Okay, so Justin, you can tell us your experience and how you're finding things.
So I would like to talk about on our specific module called Innovation in Bioscience.
Mm-hmm.
So in that course, we firstly have the lessons about kind of like bioscience industry, the role involved in this really complex industry ecosystem. And then we are assigned with the assignment that basically everybody has a role on each of the roles in the ecosystem. For example, you do have like a company, you got like a regulator, inventor, and you guys all together in order to bring something from a concept to a market. So that assignment basically just asks you to think as a reality that how will each role participate in the commercialization plan in order to bring that on the market. So my role was assigned as a company in the product, and like I'm trying really hard to actually think as a company that actually seek for profit on making profit on this product. And I really found this process useful because this is what actually in the reality that other people will think on the product as well. And this really brings me learn about what they kind of think or like how real reality actually works. And basically when you make a more realistic argument, you will get more point in this in this assignment. So yeah, I do really like this course.
Yeah, you enjoyed that one. Great. And I think that's fair to say. I think different people will enjoy different aspects of the course. Thank you, Justin. And obviously you're still here to answer questions from more general questions or whatever specific. So let's think about a bit more about Imperial. Maybe we start with Tina, talk about how you found moving to Imperial and maybe like the career services and other societies and things like that you've been able to get involved in.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Sarah and Anne, for the presentation, and good afternoon to everyone. Thank you for joining us. I think one thing that I do have to say about the career services at Imperial, having had the experience of being a London University student before, I think it does very much stand out because of its sort of foundational connection that it has to sort of industry partners and companies. So definitely encourage that, hopefully once you join us at Imperial, you do make the most use of the career service as a primary tool. But also bear in mind that the network that you form whilst being at Imperial is something that's invaluable and brings so much value in your day-to-day development whilst at university and once you also graduate. So I think, yeah, definitely the resources that you do have access to is one thing, but also the connections that you form through your peers and through other people that you meet through different societies is very important to keep in mind. From sort of my personal experience, I've been very much focused on consulting and sort of developing my acumen in sort of the business side of the biosciences. There's a lot of opportunity to really develop those skills. You have, of course, the Imperial Consulting Group. You have 180 Degrees Consulting, which I'm sure a lot of you guys would have known from your previous universities. And you also have other sort of arising student-led sort of consulting groups as well, like the Young Consultant, London Strategic Consultancy. So there's always room to get involved with these student bodies. Through consulting directly, also the executive teams as well, which is very exciting. And you can always stand out as an Imperial student. One thing to also note is that within Imperial, within the consulting societies, you have the opportunity to really work with companies that are within the biosciences. So for instance, currently I'm on a project with the Imperial Consulting Group and they're directly working with a pharmaceutical manufacturing company. So it's very much, my field of interest. So it's amazing to see that, the name of Imperial College London brings such potential clients to a student-led consulting organization. So yeah, just to sum up, I think the reputation that Imperial holds really allows you to develop personally and professionally, both whilst at Imperial and as well after you graduate.
Thank you, Tina. So that was brilliant. Thank you. And it's good to hear your perspective. And then finally, we've got Junwon. And I think Junwon is going to talk more broadly about Imperial and his, coming to Imperial and how what his experience has been of it.
Thank you, Sarah. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. So just to start off, obviously everybody knows Imperial has a very prestigious reputation amongst universities in London. However, that goes beyond just the academic life. For example, the South Kensington campus, it's located in a prime location. So during lunch breaks, you can walk 5-10 minutes out of campus, enjoy lots of nice restaurants. On Tuesdays, what we're very fortunate to have food stalls and market stalls come onto campus. These stalls represent a diverse range of international cuisines. You can get Chinese food, Spanish food, Turkish food, whatever you like. You can basically find it there on Tuesday afternoons, and it's my favorite spot to go to. I do not get sick of it. The food on campus is great. If I'm being very honest with you, I came from another university in London, and I'm not going to name it directly, but if I were to compare the food, Imperial is significantly better. And I know how important food is for students like yourself to fuel yourself through long days, of course, long days of learning. Besides that, as Tina has mentioned, with all the societies, there are also non-academic societies. Imperial College has a sporting facility, which I personally believe is one of the largest academic institution sporting facilities in London. It has a gym, it has a sauna, it has a swimming pool. It has also all range of facilities that you would need to play any sorts of sports. In terms of societies, there are academic societies, for example, like the Consulting Society or the Neurotech Society, but there are also other societies such as the Scuba Diving Society. So I'm an avid scuba diver, so if you join these societies, they will host annual trips to within whether it's Europe or somewhere warm, just for you to grow your network and establish yourself as an Imperial student. And personally, finally, for me, I feel like the most interesting aspect about, well, the most daunting aspect about first coming to Imperial was its reputation. Everybody knows Imperial is a very prestigious university, which means there's a very high standard of talent among students. And for me, when I first came in here, I was a little nervous. I had a case of the imposter syndrome. But once you get in and you get to talk to people, you realize that despite its competitive nature, it is a very supporting environment. Everyone is there to help you. Everyone's willing to share what they know. And it's a journey that we're all on together. So you definitely won't feel alone. And I'm sure you'll find a group of friends and a group of staff members as well to really facilitate your journey through Imperial.
Great, thank you. Okay, so I think we're going to some of the questions. So one of the questions, I don't know if somebody wants to read out the questions, but and maybe Anne wants to come on screen as well to answer some of the questions with me. Can we do that? But will there be a lot of group work? Yes. Yes, there's significant amount of group work because that's the sort of real life situation. You will be obviously in different groups for different activities. So yes. People are asking about assessment. I don't know if that's still relevant. I think we've covered the different ways that are being assessed. But as I said, it's a variety, and it's not all group work. So there are some assessments that students are doing at the moment. For example, they're doing one at the moment that is a personal assessment where they have to take a bioscience topic and they are delivering it in a different format. So some of them are developing a podcast, some of them are developing graphics, and some of them are writing something. So I think that is one of the unique things about the course, is that for some of our assessments, you have alternative ways of delivering them. And did you want to, opportunities to form your own startup? Potentially, yes. If you are, go through the entrepreneurship module and you come out with something successful at the end of that, there's opportunities.
There was a question about feedback. So do you get a chance to submit, present work to a tutor before it's submitted? There's always feedback built into it. Some of it is you will submit something, you can get some feedback. Other is just in the class that will feedback all the time. It's just knowing what feedback is. So, you will have lots of opportunities to pitch. For example, you'll get feedback on that. So it's baked in. You won't necessarily get an opportunity to present a piece of writing in advance and that to have formative feedback given to you. But there are lots of ways of receiving feedback.
Okay, so there's a few about admissions. So yes, we accept people if they have a first or a 2-1, and we're not, we're not saying, okay, you have to have a first to get into this course. There are lots of people that have 2-1s, and it's really how, it's having your academic degree, and then, but also being able to demonstrate in the interview that you have the sort of entrepreneurial flair, you're interested in creative ways of doing things. I'm very explicit with students about how the assessments are going to be, and if you are a student that is a lot more comfortable with exams, then this probably isn't the course that you that you want to do. But that's just, yeah.
So there's one there for the students, I don't know if they've seen it, about the number of hours. So do you want to, what are the hours of work do you do during the week, including lectures and working on your own?
So you have classes, as Sarah previously mentioned, you have classes 3 days a week. At the moment, we have them Monday, Tuesday, Thursdays from 10 to 5 p.m. and you have an hour lunch break. It sounds a lot, but it really isn't. We have lots of short breaks in between each of our lectures. So that's a couple hours a day. Afterwards, you could spend 2 hours just catching up on your work. As mentioned previously, we have the Incendi platform, which has a few pre-learning pre-learning activities we'd have to complete before our session. That takes an hour or two, depending on you personally, and depending on how deep you want to go with that knowledge. So I would say a week, including Sundays, including the weekends, you could be looking at around, anywhere between 30 to 50 hours of work per week. It really depends on how you use your time. But it's really, yes, it's a master's course and it is quite intense, but it's not as bad as you think it is.
So somebody's asked here about the interview dates and whether, so as I say, you do have to prepare for the interview. So they've asked whether we have to prepare in advance. So I think I've answered that. Yes, you will have to prepare something in advance. Obviously, if you're given an interview date and it coincides with something else important that's going on, or exams or whatever else you're doing, you do have the opportunity to change that date to another date. Terms of offers, we will probably start making offers from February onwards.
There's one about evaluating the applicants, Sarah.
Oh, where's that? How does admissions evaluate the applicant? So yeah, I'm looking for people that are, I guess, open, innovative, interested in have that entrepreneurial spirit. That's sort of something that is really driving them to come to this master's. And we will, what the other thing that we will do in terms of the interview is that we have a series of questions about, your past experience, why you've chosen the course, etc., and what you're hoping to get out of the course. And those questions will be sent to you beforehand anyway, so that you can prepare.
There's one, do students likely go on to work for the company full-time for the company they have their internship with?
We have no idea about that because this is our first year. So a lot of those students will probably be placed in with startups, working with startups, and so that will obviously depend on how well that startup's doing and whether they've got funding to continue. But you are encouraged and welcome to identify your own place to work.
Will there be an opportunity to form our own startup team? Well, I guess the answer to that is yes, in the second term.
Yeah, so in the second term, you will be doing more on entrepreneurship.
I could also add into that, I think as part of the Imperial Enterprise Labs, there's a lot of programs that you can get involved in, such as We Innovate. So there's a lot of opportunity even during term one. Once you do start working on your ideation and entrepreneurship module delivered by Ben, you can also apply at the same time and be a part of that program, which is essentially 5 months, and it enables you to work on your own idea even before term two.
There's one about the entry requirements. Is everyone treated equally if they've got a 2-1 or a first? Is there any other factors you judge them on?
Yeah, I addressed that because I said there are a lot of people, on the course at the moment that have a 2-1. So it's not, you don't necessarily have to get a first, but you do have to get a 2-1. And then it depends how you interview, and maybe you've done other things as well too, in addition to your studies.
There's a question about the interview. Do you guys mind if I just talk about my experience with the interview? So I saw there was a question asking about whether or not we'd have to do any preparation in advance and what the interview is like. So essentially for our cohort, we were sent, so you receive an invitation for an interview through email, and then you'll be given a paper or a scientific journal that you'd have to read, a scientific article that you'd have to read. And we're given an option between presenting it in a graphical abstract or a 3-minute presentation. Essentially, all the information that you will need to prepare for the interview will be sent to you in your email. I found it very fun, and I think you guys will really enjoy it. So yeah, don't be so worried about the interview. I think it's definitely not as bad as you guys would think it is.
There's another one there, Sarah, on is it first come, first served in regard to offers?
I guess we do have a cut-off, and so yeah, I mean, I guess once we're full, we're full. So in that sense, yes.
I think that's most of the questions covered. Yes. Unless any last words from the students, if you want to jump in, any of you, say anything extra?
I just wanted to add that in terms of the full days that we're like 10 to 5, it may seem long, but it's not like just lectures. It's also very much of discussion. You can ask as many questions as you want. It feels very collaborative as well. So it's not like you're standing there and you're just listening to lectures for that long. You're doing group work, presentations during the lectures, discussions, pitching. So it's very interesting as well. It's not just staying there listening.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And also in regards to the feedback, since it's such a small cohort, I'm not sure how many people here are doing the undergraduate in London, but an undergraduate program, you've got hundreds of students. So getting a very personalized, tailored feedback from your professor is quite hard. However, even though we've only done one or two assessments for our previous modules, the amount of feedback you get and the detail that the feedback you get from this program is significantly more than what you would get in your undergraduate. So you would come into your next assessment knowing exactly the areas you need to work on, and on top of that, how you can improve those, not just the areas, but the techniques and the skills that you will need to develop during that process. I think it's having a small cohort is great for that one-on-one connection with all the professors.
And I think just feeding into that, also the platform we're using, the Incendi platform, it's new to us, it's new to this course, but it also allows module leads to comment when students post on pre-session work. We also get an opportunity to comment on your work there, the posts that you've made. And that's very informative from our point of view too, because it allows us to really see how the students are growing and developing. And that's a unique insight that I don't think I've seen in any other course I've been involved in. And it really helps us, I think, get to know the students. So it's not just in the class that you're seeing them. You feel that you're working with them and seeing how they're growing throughout the whole process. It's a lot of fun.
Right. Well, thank you everybody for joining us, and we, look forward to receiving your applications potentially if you think this is going to be something for you. If you're that sort of creative entrepreneur, game somebody that wants to, make changes in the world, big changes. So thank you so much.